we're going to talk about food, all things food.
Our
What kind of
favorite
food are we
food.
going to talk about tonight, Jean? Not the all natural food that we find in the produce section of the grocery store, but we're going to talk about food that is processed, food that comes out of a can, a bag, or a box. And the reality is that we all have to buy food
Hmm.
that's more convenient. So how do we get healthier when we're buying convenience food? So what do we have to go through to make really good healthy decisions? So I am surrounded by food tonight. Are
Me
you?
too. I am. I've got him. I'm ready to go.
This is one
So
of my favorite topics because when I do a cooking class, people always want to know, what do you buy? Because I don't buy a lot of processed foods. So when I do buy processed foods, I put a lot of thought into it. And I'm sure you do too, Jean, because you're very careful about
oh, very much. You and
what
I.
you eat.
I've been texting you sometimes from the grocery store, going, Kim, is this
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. And there's so much to learn. There's so much to learn in the area of reading labels and looking at ingredients and understanding what the ingredients are. And now the labels are changing, which we won't get into tonight, but really there's a lot to learn. And I know I've learned from you just some little things, and I learn every time I do a cooking class, I learn from people. So hopefully we'll be able to share a little bit with people tonight.
Absolutely.
Do you want me to start with
You start.
we're
Go.
gonna talk about some of our favorite foods tonight. And one of the things that I always share with people is a plant-based milk, because it's the first thing we give up. We give up meat, then we give up dairy, then we give up oil, then we give up sugar. That's usually the order it goes in. So anyways, this is my favorite plant-based milk. And I know we do almond milk, we do cashew milk, we do soy milk, but this is my favorite. And the reason is I always look at the ingredients first. And there are only two ingredients in this. It's just water
Right. What else?
and soybeans.
And
Water and
soybeans.
soybeans. It doesn't get any
Okay.
better than that. So I never bother to even look at the nutrition facts because I know it's water and soybeans and I know it's pretty clean.
But tell me
Um,
about the nutrition facts.
but if I did want to go to the nutrition facts, the first thing I would look at is the serving size.
Okay.
Um, because a lot of times the serving size can be deceiving. If you're eating crackers, for example, and it says the serving size is 5 crackers, come on, how many people really eat 5 crackers?
Not me.
I don't
No.
eat 5 crackers.
No.
I eat about 20 crackers. So a lot of times the serving size is very deceiving. This one is a cup. That's about right for my oatmeal. And if I look at my calories, I'm at 100 calories. If I look at my calories from fat, I'm at 45 calories. And then if I look at sodium, the
So
sodium
that's
is
45% fat.
45% fat, yes. Because if
Okay.
you know the way you calculate the percent of calories from fat is you divide the fat calories by the total calories.
Right.
This is an easy one because it's based on 100. So it's 45% calories of fat, but I don't really think you need to worry about that because it's a whole food. And
Okay.
soybeans and water. And then I would go down and look at sodium to see if
Mm-hmm.
the sodium is really high, and the sodium's pretty good. It's only 35 milligrams. And the recommendation is not to exceed 2,300 milligrams, but we like to see people keep it at about 1,500 milligrams or
Mm-hmm.
less.
Right.
And some people that are really salt sensitive even need to go further than that. So
I'm
this
one
is
of those.
yeah, we've talked about that. So this is a pretty clean product. And you know how I know it's clean too is I make my own yogurt,
Mm-hmm.
and I've made it with different soy milks. And this is the only one that really works. And I was told it's because there aren't a lot of other ingredients that
Right.
sometimes can change the probiotics that you put into the soy milk to make it turn into a yogurt. So I just really think this is a great milk, and it's shelf stable, so I can keep it in my pantry. I don't have to store it in the refrigerator. So what's
Okay.
your favorite milk?
Well, my favorite milk, I like the Trader Joe's almond milk, and this
Mm-hmm.
one is the vanilla. But after I went back and looked at some my specs on this, it has 30 calories from fat compared to 40 calories total in 1 cup. So that's 75% fat. Wow. Okay, that's pretty high in fat. But the one thing that I do give it is that it's not saturated fat,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to, like, say, something like a coconut milk, which has, very high in saturated fats. But this is not the saturated. So there's zero saturated fats. The sodium is a little bit high. So there's
Uh-huh.
40 calories to 180. So you're trying to get a 1-to-1, from calories to the milligrams of sodium. or less if you can. That's even better. So that's a little bit high on the sodium side. I'm kind of thinking maybe I might need to have to, because I always learn from you. I always learn from you. So we might
Well,
have to be switching in the Schumacher household to the soy milk.
one thing I wanted to ask you is when I look at a product, the first thing I do is I look at the ingredients.
Right.
And if all the ingredients are plant-based, I never even go to the nutrition facts. I mean, I guess if you're very sodium sensitive, you would want to look at that. And if they add salt, you would want to look at it. But I don't really look at the fat grams.
Right.
It's all 100% whole foods. So, because I think that these nutrition facts can be really deceiving. I think a lot of people don't know how to figure out, what fats are good fats and percent of calories from fat. So,
well, and I know in some of the milks, there's a chemical, or I shouldn't say chemical, but an ingredient called, and I don't know if I'm saying it right, carrageenan.
Carrageenan, right? Which is it's a plant-based ingredient, and it comes from seaweed, some type of seaweed.
Right.
And it's been linked to cancers and inflammation, but I don't think there's been any kind of
I think the jury's still out on it. So until the jury comes back in and we hear more about it, I think I want to be on the safe side and make sure that mine doesn't have that. So that was one of the things, because most of the other brands that I looked at do contain that. So I wanted to make sure. I know the Trader Joe's doesn't have that one. So okay, what's up next?
It makes it thick and creamy, the carrageenan.
It does. It does. Yeah. What's up next?
Okay, what's up next? I love pommy tomatoes.
Oh, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and I love it because there's only one ingredient in it, and it's just tomatoes, nothing else.
Right.
And it's really interesting because a lot of people think that canned tomatoes are clean. There's just tomatoes in it, but there's a lot of sodium in canned tomatoes.
Yes.
And this one only has 5 milligrams of sodium. And even when you get canned tomatoes and there's a lot of sodium in it, you can't taste the salt. So I would rather put the salt in at the end of the cooking and taste the salt than have hidden salts in the tomatoes. So I just really like this product.
Right.
A lot of mainstream grocery stores are starting to carry it. I got it I didn't get it at Trader Joe's. I got it at Whole Foods. But they do have it in Kroger's and some of the mainstream grocery stores. I don't know if they have them where you're at, but
they do. I use that one a lot. But also you can get that on Amazon too. And buy it by a case. Some things I buy just in bulk because it's hard to find, or it's not all the time that I can get it. I just go on Amazon and look for, a box of it, and then I keep it in my basement and use that.
And you don't have to carry it out to your car and into your house. And it's really nice to just deliver it to your door. I actually do buy a lot on Amazon.
I do.
Because you know in your head what products are good and what you like, what's clean.
Right.
You just order it.
Right. So one of my favorite you had the palmy, mine is the Trader Joe's marinara sauce. And I remember even texting you because for me, this one says no salt added, which is fantastic because I am super, super salt sensitive, really, really. And I cannot put any salt on my food in any way, shape, or form, and I can't cook with it. So, it's really difficult for me. This only has 35 milligrams, and the calories is 60, so it's way under the 1-to-1 ratio, so it's fantastic in that. No calories. Now, this is interesting because if you look on the label, again, we talk about reading labels, it does say that this contains olive oil, but yet the label says 0 calories from fat. How does that work, Kim? Please.
Well, if you notice the olive oil is quite a ways down. It's not all the way down, but it's quite a ways down on the ingredients. So it's probably there's less of it. But if it's under 0.5 grams, they don't have to say that it's in there. That's how they got away with trans fats. Some of them would say zero trans fats, but it was less than 5 grams, less than 0.5 grams. So, but here's my take on this. It's such a small amount of oil, and if you look at the ingredients, you can see it's low on the ingredient list. It's not showing up in your fat calories. It's probably really, really minimal. So if you're gonna buy a marinara sauce, most of them have quite a bit of oil in them, and salt and sugar. So you kind of have to pick your battles. But this isn't one that I would get all hot and bothered about because I buy it all the time.
Yeah, well, and the sugar isn't that bad. I mean, it's 6 grams per half a cup.
Right.
So, not major high in terms of
And
sugar
so, you know
either.
what I do when I make lasagna? I take this and I take pomi and I mix it.
Ah,
I mix it
right.
and I season it up the way I want it, with
Mm-hmm.
nutritional yeast and then you're reducing that fat even more and that
Right.
sodium even more, and
Right.
you can kind of season it the way you want.
So what's
Yeah.
up next?
Um, so I have Thai green curry paste, and I love this paste because it adds a wow to a curry dish, and I use
Mm-hmm.
it in the cookbook a lot. There's a red one and there's a green one. I happen to like the green one. I
What's the
use it
difference?
in soup. It's just a difference in flavor. This one to me is a little bit sweeter, a little less spicy. It has lemongrass in it, garlic. It's not quite as spicy. It's just a smoother curry.
So the
Curry
red one is a little more spicier.
a little more spicy, right? But I like spicy, so most people know that about me, that I like spicy
Me
food.
too.
Um, but this has no oil in it, and it
Mm-hmm.
has a ton of flavor. So, and I put it in a lot of things. Even when I'm making a veggie burger, I put a teaspoon or a tablespoon of
Well,
it.
how long will that keep it once you open it and you put it in the refrigerator? How long can you keep that?
I usually use it up before the month is over, but I
Okay.
would guess 2 or 3 months. It's a paste. It's like
Mm-hmm.
a ginger paste. You know, you just let it sit in there, or garlic paste or whatever. So, but I love this product, and it's you can get it in mainstream grocery stores in the Asian section. Great product.
Okay. Well, my turn. I get this at Whole Foods, and I'm sure it's called Bear,
Mhm.
and it is an Ethiopian flavor, and I just absolutely love it. I love it. It adds a little kick to stuff, and it adds just a subtle flavor. It does have, and I was looking at the specs on this one, it does have, the second ingredient is sea salt. So,
Mhm.
for me, that's, but I'm not adding a lot either. So I'm
Right,
adding a little bit of the seasoning to it, like when I make the potato waffles.
right.
I'll add this. This is one of my favorite
Mm.
seasonings to add to the potato waffles, and it just gives it a nice kick to it. So there's not a lot that I'm using in terms of like the salt,
Yeah.
because the salt was a little bit high. I was surprised at that. Uh,
So Jean, in the Plant Pure Nation cookbook, there's a
hmm
recipe for bear spice.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
So you can
so
make your own.
you can make your own. It's just a combination of a lot of spices, and you can leave out the salt if you want. I mean,
Right,
it is kind of a pain to get all your spices out, but you make enough so you have
right,
a jar of it. So
right. And
yeah,
and then again, and I forgot about that. Thank you for
yeah,
reminding me.
yeah. It's time consuming. You have to put everything together, but
Hmm.
and I
But you
love
do it once.
exactly. But the convenience of buying them is nice too. And if you go to an Ethiopian restaurant, a lot of times they'll sell you bear spice.
Ooh,
I don't know if it has
okay.
salt in it, but they'll do that too. So
Well, and I like the Whole Foods, the whole line of these that have a mixtures, and it's fun to just try different flavors, And if you're doing something like a potato waffle, something simple where the potatoes just pick up whatever flavor you're cooking with, it's fun to experiment and try different things.
yeah, yeah, it is. And every bear spice is a little bit different, just like every curry spice is a little
Right,
bit different. So
right,
it just depends on combination. So
right.
that's a really fun spice though.
I do. I like it a lot. I've been adding it to a lot of things.
Uh-huh.
What do you got? What do you have next?
Okay. I'm gonna go to, everybody always talks about bread. What bread do you buy? And it's so complicated looking at all the ingredients. Lately I buy the same bread. It's the Dave's Killer bread. And
I've not heard of that.
it's a wonderful bread. It's light, it's soft. You know how Ezekiel bread is a little bit heavier, and
Right.
I like
Yeah.
Ezekiel bread, but this is a much lighter, fluffier bread.
Right.
But all the ingredients, there's a lot of ingredients because they have a lot of things in here.
Mm-hmm.
But all of them are made with whole foods, lots of seeds, flax seeds, and whole grain flours, and it's just and the sugar. There's only 1 gram of sugar,
Oh, wow.
so
That's
that's
good.
pretty awesome. And the calories are 100 for one slice of bread, but I'll never eat one slice. I have to have two. And then the calories from fat are 20. So you get
Okay.
20% of the calories are from fat. But those fats are all whole grains and
So
whole,
is there added oil?
no added oil in this at all, which just makes it
Excellent.
really, they have organic fruit juices as a sweetener. But still,
Nice.
you only have 1 gram. And then the sodium is 140. So it's pretty close to 1 to 1, a little bit over.
Right. A little bit over.
Yeah, but as far as breads go, I would say this is one of my favorite breads, and I know a lot of people struggle with breads and wraps and things. Um,
Right. And I need to see if locally we can get that. Do you know if that is at Whole Foods?
it's at Whole Foods, I think, but I get mine at the mainstream grocery store.
Really?
Mainstream grocery stores where you get it. Now they sell them in bagels, and I don't know if
Okay.
they're whole grain, but they have bagels. They have different varieties of Dave's Killer Bread. They have thin slice if you want, thinner slices for toast.
Right.
But something else that people always struggle with is wraps, and I have to say,
Oh, yeah.
there's not a lot out. It's why we don't have them in any of our food lines because there's so much
Right.
salt and sugar and oil in these. Ezekiel is pretty good as far as a whole grain wrap is
But
concerned.
but how do you? They're like cardboard.
I know they're like cardboard. They fall apart when you roll them. They're such a
I
pain.
know. So what do
Um,
you
so,
do?
so I take these and I take a wet kitchen towel and
Mm-hmm.
I wrap them up in a wet kitchen towel and then I put them in a warm oven at about 200. Just let them sit there.
Right.
You can wrap them in tin foil if you want. They'll get really kind of soft and then you can roll them up really nicely. They're
I
never
remember
going to
I
be
remember
wet.
Ann Esselstyn talking about that. She's saying that she puts them into a pan just to heat them up and that they become a little bit more supple.
Right. If
So
you want to put them in a microwave, you can do that too, but it's just nice. You can stick them in the oven and wrap them in a kind of a moist towel. And then pizzas, I like to make my own pizza dough, but a lot of times
mhm.
we're in a hurry
Right.
and that's actually the one meal if I don't have time to cook, I'll throw a pizza together, a Mexican pizza or a
Right.
traditional. And there's different things you can get, but I know I was at Whole Foods today and I did get the Engine 2 pizza
I
cup.
love those.
This one's pretty good. It has just whole wheat flour, water, vinegar, yeast, maple syrup, and salt. Sodium is 110. Calories are 110.
So it's 1 to 1.
1 to 1. Thank you, Rip Esselstyn. And then calories from fat are 10. So it's less than 10% of calories from fat. So, it's pretty good.
Excellent. I use that all the time. I keep that in my freezer. That's one of my go-tos. Like when you're running it. What do you like to put on your pizza?
I put the Trader Joe's marinara sauce, and then I
Okay.
just, any vegetable I have in the refrigerator, if it's spinach, mushrooms, olives, peppers. Sometimes if I don't have time, I'll just put frozen vegetables on and throw them in the oven. A little bit of
Really?
nutritional yeast on the top.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes I have some cheese sauces that I make, and so I might drizzle a little bit of that over the
Uh-huh.
top. It's really just whatever I have on hand at the time.
I
What do you
think my favorite is I love mushrooms. Mushrooms on and
put?
onions. I like
Hmm.
to saute them first and then put them on. But do
Hmm.
you ever put onions or onions and mushrooms just straight raw and put them on it and cook it or
Sometimes I usually, if I really am in a hurry, I'll throw them in the microwave just to kind of take that sharp onion flavor off. But
right?
usually I saute the onions and mushrooms and then put them on the pizza from there.
Yeah.
If you use frozen, you don't even need to do that. You can just throw the frozen veggies on there.
Really?
Yeah,
I learned something.
but
I always learn from you, Kim. Always.
well, the easiest thing we do is the Mexican pizzas, and we use the tortillas, and we put refried beans on it. And Nelson knows if we're in a hurry, what are we going to have? Mexican pizza, because it's easy. It's really easy, and I can do
So
it.
could you do that with the whole wheat crust?
You could do it with the Ezekiel crust. You could do it with a corn tortilla.
Mm-hmm.
Trader Joe's has a wheat and a corn tortilla. You could do it with naan bread at Trader Joe's, but it does have a little bit of oil in it. So I guess it just depends on how picky you want to get about that.
Right.
We don't use any oil in our house at all. So I feel
Right.
like if there's a little minuscule amount of it somewhere, I'm certainly not going to get all hot and bothered about it. Even your plant-based milks have oil in them. A lot of people don't realize that lecithin is oil. So you know that because you're a chemist.
Right. Right.
So that's why I like this milk because it doesn't have any added oils. So
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
If I'm going to have oil, I'm going to eat it in the form of a nut or a seed.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't eat those because I'm still trying to.
Yeah.
I still have more. I'm running these maximum weight loss challenges. So, yeah, nuts in my
Calorie
future,
density.
not now.
Mhm.
So, what
Yeah.
else you got? Oh, let me do one. I
Yeah,
got
you do one.
this was my favorite Butler soy
Love
curls.
those. Yes.
Gosh, these are amazing. And it does have 40% fat in them, but soy products, soybeans do have a little bit higher amounts of fat. But the sodium, there's no sodium. There is nothing else. I mean, sugar is 1 gram, and the serving is about 3/4 of a cup.
Yeah.
These are amazing because what you do is you hydrate them, and then you can use them in recipes, whatever, and it absorbs the flavor. We have the Plant Pure Nation, the groups for our area. When we get together, we have potlucks, and this one woman is got the recipe down for Kung Pao chicken. Wow.
Mm.
This is it right here inside of that. OMG. It
Oh
is so
yeah.
good. And she serves it over rice. And it's just, and it's, I tell her, make a big pot because that's
Yeah.
one of the first things to go. And we use this. So any place you would use, like a chicken in a
Chicken.
dish or a meat substitute, barbecue, you can
Yep.
shred it to make it almost like a barbecue-ish kind of thing. This is
Yep.
absolutely fantastic. Now, I get this on Amazon. I buy it in a 6-pack
Hmm.
because I can't find it in the stores any place around me.
Hmm.
So, do you find it in the stores?
I don't think they carry that in the stores, Jean. I'm pretty sure you have to order it through Butler or Amazon.
Right. That's where I get it on Amazon.
Yep.
So,
And I order it like you. I order a 12 pack at a time because I use
right.
them for classes and stuff. But I love to make chicken salad with those. I shred them
Yes.
and
Yes.
then put the tofu cashew mayonnaise in there and a lot of the veggies and stuff and have it for chicken salad sandwiches.
I've even made the for the carnivores. I've made it for them, and my brother's like, "I thought you gave up chicken."
It's true. It tastes
I
just
made it just for you. I cooked the chicken just for you.
yeah. I love Butler soy curls for just that reason because I like to feed it to people who are not plant-based because they're so
Yes.
surprised.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It is, and it's chewy. It's got the same texture and
Mhm.
mouthfeel of like chicken that's been cooked.
Okay, so
So,
that's going to take me to the next one.
okay, go.
You know about bone sucking sauce?
I love that. I absolutely love that.
So
That's
this is nice. It's nice with those soy curls because you can stick them in the
yes.
crock pot and put the bone suck. This happens to be a hot one. I bought it by mistake.
That's good
Uh,
too. We
but
like
yeah,
that one too.
but the nice thing about the bone sucking sauce is it has less sugar in it, and
Mm,
less sodium than most of the barbecue sauces. I have to tell you, they're a little high in sodium, so you could always cut it in half and kind of bump
right.
it up with your own vinegars and things like that.
Exactly. But those are some good things, and they actually make a
Yeah.
spice, bone sucking sauce spice.
Do they? I didn't know
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Where do you get that?
I want to say I found it at Whole Foods, but
Yeah.
or maybe it was on Amazon. I don't know. I've slept since then, but I have one in my cupboard that you can just sprinkle on and
Oh, that's
add it adds a great flavor to it. That's another one that I like to add to my potato
yeah.
waffles too.
Yeah.
That's a good one too.
You know, I'm going to back up because you had the bear spice, which is really nice. And one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight, but I forgot, was the spice blends. And
Hmm.
I really like the Mrs. Dash's blends because there's so many different
Yes.
blends and there's no
Yes.
salt in them. And
Yes.
there are a lot of just unsalted spice blends to pick from. So people that don't want to fuss with their spices, there's just so many different spices to choose from.
Right. Right.
So that's always a lot of fun. I have 2 spice cabinets. It's really kind of a sickness. I probably need to clean them out more often.
I have racks around my kitchen because I couldn't fit, I only have so much wall space in the kitchen, and I put on metal racks. I have one on, and going down the stairs, I have several of them,
Oh,
and then I
that's
have
bad.
a lazy Susan on top of the refrigerator, and then my shelves are just packed with spices.
Well,
I
we'll
use them
know
all the
it's a
time.
problem when you start putting them on with the magnets on the refrigerator. Then you know you have a problem.
That's actually a good idea. That's
Yeah.
really a neat idea.
You know, I buy spices for my kids for Christmas because they're expensive.
Yeah, they
So a
are.
lot of times, they'll get a little box with 4 or 5 different spices in them because they're, spices can run anywhere between
Yeah.
$3 and $7.
Yes.
Bear
Yes.
spice is a little bit pricey.
It
So,
is. But
all right.
it's
So what
worth
are
it.
some other? Let's talk about snacks. Like because we've covered bread and milk and tomatoes, but people like to snack. So what would you recommend in terms of? Yes, we want people to eat
Oh,
and
I got this is my absolute love this. These are brown rice snaps. This is from Edward and Sons. Now, some of these, the Edward and Sons ones, and I think some of them do, depending upon what they're made with, have oil in them. But
Mhm.
this one does not. It has 2 ingredients. This has the organic brown rice flour and organic white rice flour. That's it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and there's no salt in this, which for me is fantastic because
Mhm.
it's hard for me to find a chip, and I love the crunch. Love the
Yeah.
crunch. So
Yeah.
I'll use this and use it with all kinds of dips. We
Yeah.
make, wonderful,
You know what's
wonderful
nice
dips.
about those is, because again, it's important that people are eating fresh fruits and vegetables and laying
Right,
that out. But if you mix it with that, and you're crunching on the carrots and the celery, and then you have the crackers out there, you're not eating all crackers because a lot of times
right,
people just put out chips and dip. But
right.
putting out all of it is kind of important. And pretty soon you'll find you'll need less and less of those chips.
No,
So.
no.
I'm kind of a cracker person too. I
Yeah.
like these Mary's crackers.
Okay.
Mary's crackers have brown rice, quinoa, flaxseed, brown sesame seeds, wheat-free tamari, um, and water. That's pretty much it. The
How's the
sodium
sodium on that?
sodium is not bad. The calories are 140 if you eat 13 crackers. But the
Yeah.
sodium is
Okay.
190, so it's a little bit over that, but it's not as bad as you might think. I think it's a pretty clean product. I think my only complaint about this product is it's expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
It is on the pricier
yeah,
side, but for a little treat now and then, like when I go to the carnivores, I will take something like that.
yeah.
You know, and I love to mix it with the tree line cheese. Have you tried that?
No, I haven't.
Oh, we actually had at the last Plant Pure Nation, the group meeting, Tree Line Cheese sent us a whole bunch of their cheeses to try for a
What's
cheese
in that?
tasting.
What's in the cheeses?
They're nut based, so they're not low calorie. But for a
Mhm.
cheese, hey, I mean, and
Right.
they spread. They have a consistency of like cream cheese. They're
Mm-hmm.
amazing, absolutely
Oh,
amazing.
fun. Okay,
So,
so I'm going to move away from the camera for a split second because I forgot to show you something tonight.
uh-oh.
Hang on. Um, so, because we're on the topic of spreads, right?
Okay.
So I like these,
That's I told you about those.
and
That is
these,
my favorite.
yes, these are special because they're from Asheville, North Carolina.
Yes.
So I'll always support somebody from North Carolina. But this is an oil-free hummus.
Yep.
It doesn't mean they don't. There's no added oil, but
Right.
there is tahini in it, which a lot of people
Right.
think tahini is an oil. It's a sesame seed butter. So
Right.
when I look at this, the calories are 40. Calories from fat are 10.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to see the sodium, they laid it out a little bit different here. 75 milligrams. So it is a little bit salty. I guess
It
that's why
is.
it's so
But you
good.
know what I do with that? Is I'll take 2 tablespoons of that and I'll
Uh-huh.
put it in like a half a cup of water.
Oh,
Maybe
that's a
not quite
good
as much as of water, but maybe not quite that much. And I'll whisk it together and I'll make it into a
good
sauce.
idea. You
It's
can
fantastic.
yeah, you can make dressings with leftover hummus. Just, put a
Yes.
little bit of milk in it, shake it up, and now you've got a really nice dressing. So, yeah,
It does. It does make a nice dressing.
yeah.
So one
So,
last thing, okay, because we need to wrap it up.
yeah,
What's your? I think you had a rice that you're going to talk about.
I had a pasta. I had a
Oh,
brown
close,
brown
but
a
it was brown rice pasta. Yeah.
brown rice pasta. Brown rice. This is a Trader Joe's brand, and the only reason I use brown rice pasta is not because I'm completely gluten free, because I'm not. I just like the texture of it a lot,
Yes.
and it's softer. It's closer to white pasta, and
Right.
I do miss those white pasta days.
I do
I
too.
have to say I do miss that. So the only ingredients here is brown rice and water. That's it.
Nice.
The sodium is 0. Calories are 200. Calories from fat 10. I mean,
Well, they've got a couple of other different, the brown rice pastas, and I like them just that again for the mouthfeel,
mhm.
because I think the wheat it's a little bit more
uh,
cardboardier.
yeah.
I don't know the right word I'm looking for, but the texture just isn't to me doesn't appeal to me.
Mhm.
But
And
so
wheat goes rancid after a while because there is there is if wheat sits around for a long time, it goes rancid. So I think whole wheat pasta sometimes can have that funny aftertaste. I think
mm,
it's because you don't know how long that stuff's been sitting on the shelves.
I did not know that.
Yeah, yeah. So
Good to know.
I think that's why I don't like whole wheat pasta because I can really taste when something goes rancid.
All
Flours,
right.
nuts, all of that stuff. So, but
All
anyway,
right. Well, I got one more for our last one. This is from Lundberg. Love this. This is the short brown rice. It's organic, and I can get this usually at Whole Foods, or sometimes we have a local grocer called Mrs. Green's. We like that around here. It's kind of a whole natural grocery store. But I also get this on Amazon. I'll buy it by the case, because sometimes it's hard for me because it's a ways away from these other stores. So sometimes if I'm running down low and I know I'm going to be doing a lot of cooking, and I use this a lot. I
You
eat
can buy it in,
rice a lot.
you can buy short grain rice in bulk. But why do you like short grain rice as opposed to regular brown rice? Just
I think
curious.
it has a chewier texture to me.
Yeah.
I just like the texture a lot better. To me, it seems more like almost like a white rice,
Mm-hmm.
And I do miss that white rice. I do.
Yeah.
I enjoy the white rice a lot and the flavor and the taste of it, the texture of it. But to me, this has a better texture than the long one. The long one just seems a little bit harder, not as
Mhm.
flavorful. But this one, I think, has good flavor to it.
You're right. I think when people are transitioning, they're eating a standard American diet and they're switching over, that's a really nice rice to try because it's softer, it's chewier, it has much more like white rice.
Absolutely.
And it makes great sushi.
Good to know.
Yeah.
I'm not a big sushi fan, so
Yeah. Yeah.
never cared for that much for that.
Yeah.
Well, Kim, I think we've covered tonight a lots of good
Yeah.
options.
Yes,
So
now I have to put all these lovely groceries away.
you
But
and me both.
I think the message is, try really hard to reduce the amount of processed foods, but know that, if you're smart about making these choices, there are some clean, healthy processed foods out there that really are nice, make life a whole lot easier.
They do. They do. I mean, we both do, try and eat as close to whole food plant based as we can. But you're right. There are times when you just need to cut a corner or you need to add something, down the road. So it does make it very convenient.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I
well,
learned a few things tonight. Thank
oh, I
you.
always learn from you. Always, always.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you, Kim.
Thank you, Jean. Have a great evening.
You too.